Welcome to another episode of the Tire Talk podcast. My name is Fernando Herrera, and in today's video, I'm going to be interviewing a gentleman that's full of passion, ready for action, and a good friend of mine. Now, he and his brothers continue the legacy set by his father and Minnesota. And in every podcast I have, the goal is to learn something. But Sammy has been able to teach me plenty more than just a few things. He's someone who's extremely passionate for the industry, and hopefully, you'll be able to see that in this interview. And really, again, I'm very excited for those who are looking into selling wheels or getting into the wholesale business. Again, Sammy is just the perfect person to learn from. So, before we continue though, before we start, I do want to thank our sponsors, TireBase. If you're a tire business, a tire wholesaler, a tire shop, anything that has to do with tires, you definitely want to be using TireBase. They're the leaders right now. They're one of the fastest growing companies in tire software. So thank you again, TireBase, for sponsoring this video. But without further ado, I present to you Sammy Susi from Tire Depot. I guess I obviously, man, we kind of went over this when the first time I came here, but a lot of people don't know about you and your story and your origins. So would you mind sharing us how everything started, how
Yeah.
you came to get into the tire industry,
Yep.
and who's
So,
Sammy?
so my father immigrated into the United States um, late 70s. And then it was a struggle, obviously, we're originally from Tunisia, so it was a struggle coming to a foreign country, which is the United States for him, zero English. And my dad was a smart guy. He was very intelligent as far as, I wouldn't say street smart, but he has a different type of mindset as far as how to generate business. So he started in the cab industry, driving a cab, and after a couple years, he generated 7 cabs, started leasing them out. And then in 1993, he said, you know what, I want to open up a shop to service my vehicles instead of paying somebody else to do it for him. He's getting tires, used tires, new tires. He's needing to change brakes, transmissions. It was the old Crown Vics, if you don't remember, the 225 7015s. So yeah, he was basically opening it for that reason, and then it ended up being retail. And we started selling used tires only and some light mechanical work, like brake jobs and stuff like that. So fast forward to 1998, we got kicked out of the first building from 93 to 98 due to a city request. They built a YWCA on 21st and Lake Street in South Minneapolis. So they tore down where my dad was leasing. We ended up moving to another building in 98. From 98 to 2004, it was strictly retail, tires, wheels, new and used, picking up new vendors and stuff like that. 2004, so from 98 to 04, it was just my father and my uncle running the business. And then 2004 is when my dad decided to open up another shop and have all my other siblings involved in the industry. And then we're going to pretty much launch it and have it as a second location. That was a success. That was in Fridley. That was the second location. My brother's involved. And I was working at the first location, taking over my dad's position as he was getting old. It was just my uncle and I kind of running the show, so I was representing my father at that time.
Remind me again, man, because I know one of the brothers told you to contact me at first, and then you reached out. But I don't remember if it was because of the online e-commerce business that
In the beginning?
Yeah.
No, in the beginning I was looking for more ideas for e-com as it was growing in my business. And then I was Googling, or not Googling, but I went on YouTube, and then your name popped up. And then video after video, I was like, who is this Fernando Herrera guy? So I started researching, and then I think I called someone in your office, and then they're like, oh no, Fernando's busy. So it's like the president of the United States I got to get a hold of. But no, you called me back and we started texting and we just kind of clicked from there as far as getting to know each other, and we shared ideas and information as far as what we did and how we did it, the drop shipping, the wholesale, the e-com stuff, and so on and so forth. And then you were telling me what you were doing with Tire Base and all that was coming along, and we just kind of went from there. When we opened up the wholesale division back in 2012, I made it a point that we're going to do a yearly annual open house. So that was kind of my, like you said, tradition, and more or less was doing it for all of our accomplishments and keep my dad's legacy going as well. As far as when it started, we opened in 2012. Obviously, it was tail end of the year. We did not have an open house in 2013, so our first one was 2014.
Okay.
And obviously, we skipped out the 2020 due to COVID. So this year, and we had a 10-year anniversary back in November of 2022. So it was like more or less kind of like a hospitality. We had free food, some tire specials. It was in November. So during that time, we had a bunch of, it was a high season, snow season. I had a lot of demand in tires and snow tires and whatnot. So I did a very intriguing special that the customers deserved. And then we followed it up by the spring of 2023 open house at that time as well. Sorry, that was tail end of 2021.
The kind of like the winter special kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember that much. Well, I think
So
no,
it
it
was
was
more-
22. It was 22. Our first, yes, it was 22. So we had the 10-year anniversary in 22. Our first annual grand open house here in St. Paul was April of 22. Second one was last year. This is the third. In total, this one is the 11th one.
So do you do open houses? Like I know you started with the first warehouse, which is in Minneapolis.
Fridley area, so
Okay.
that's the northern suburb of Minneapolis.
Do you guys still do an open house there, or now that you open the St. Paul location, is it just one location?
It's
or-
strictly St. Paul every year.
Okay.
The only one I did have was the 10-year anniversary there, and prior to opening up St. Paul location,
Got it.
tail end of 20. So the
Right.
first one was, we got the building tail end of 20. We couldn't run the first annual open house in 21 because of COVID. So we
Yeah.
kind of prolonged it. We were thinking about, we're going to have it at this location. We're going to do virtual. We're going to do a bunch of other stuff, but
Nice.
it kind of never fell through.
Virtual would have been quite interesting, man.
Yeah.
That would be
It was an
yeah.
idea of having a virtual sale and a virtual. It was just an idea I had, but it just didn't line up.
Okay. So normally, most of the time that I meet someone, it always ends with a call, man. So like either a Zoom call or video call. But you actually, it's very little the amount of people that actually like take some sort of action. And you invited me to an open house last year, which unfortunately I couldn't make it. But then I did ended up coming, like just visiting you. And
I think you couldn't make it because of the flight
my flight
cancellation.
I was at the airport. I was gonna come with my wife,
Yep.
and it was gonna be a nice trip, just both of us. And our flight was leaving like at 12 at night. I was gonna take the red eye, and they just canceled, man. It's Delta, so which is normally weird, they rarely cancel.
It's not
flights.
Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would have not, but Delta was quite, yeah. So unfortunately, and by that time, the next flight would be too late.
Yeah,
pretty much.
You
So
wouldn't make it to the event, and it was pointless
the
to
whole-
come
yeah,
as far
exactly,
as
that was the
what you
whole
were
point.
coming for. Yeah. So 2004, that was going up, set up, everything was good. 2 years later, we decided to pop up another one in St. Paul. The store names is Tires for Less. The second one was Payless Tires.
Okay.
We chose Payless Tires kind of on the east side of St. Paul. Different type of ownership as far as how that goes. And then we just didn't want to have like a Tires for Less 2, if that makes sense. We just wanted to have kind of different names and different niches and experimental.
Okay, so I was gonna say, was there a reason why you guys?
It was just more experimenting, and it was ideas, and it was just cool that be able to name your own business, whatever you would like it to name. So Payless Tires just popped up in my brother's head, and he said, let's just run with that. No rhyme or reason, just having fun with it. We don't have that corporate mentality. We just have to just have fun with what you do. So 06, that happened. In the meantime, I was running the show with my uncle. He taught me a lot. He's very appreciate what he's taught me till this day, because he was my mentor. I knew nothing about tires. I mean, I was a kid back in '93, just running around the shop and mounting tires and stuff like that. But the knowledge of the sizes and the offsets on wheels and the bolt patterns, I kind of had to kind of figure it out on my own and do my research or just deal with the customers and try to figure it out. So 08 to 12, I was working retail in South Minneapolis, and I was buying containers and dividing it into 3 for distribution for my retail stores or the family retail stores. I said, I'm buying in bulk already. Why not get into wholesale? And I was tired of retail because it's a headache. We can all agree it's a headache.
I think we all have that in common.
Yeah.
And we could definitely relate.
But thankful to the retail. We need retail for wholesale to succeed as well. So it's all in line. And the manufacturers need the distributors to succeed. So it's like a chain effect or a domino effect, as you would say.
Yeah.
The manufacturer needs the distributors need the retailers need the consumers. Without the consumer, thanks to the consumer, is why we're in business.
Yeah, thanks to a retail shop putting up with a Karen or difficult situations.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So that thought process came into play, and then my father and I and my siblings' support, obviously, started knocking on doors. I left retail. My brother jumped in my position in St. Paul and Fridley, or in Minneapolis, the first location in South Minneapolis. Kind of took over and started working with my uncle and my cousins, and just kind of worked my way into the wholesale division and knocking on doors. Take in mind that I had no warehouse at that time, so I was feeding off of my brother's retail tires inventory.
So I was gonna say, how did you start, man? Like, let's say Sammy just decided, or with you got the idea and you said, you know what, we're gonna get into wholesale. I'm already doing the containers, just like what you said. How did you? Because I know you're a very action-oriented person, man. You go like, you want something? Let's start now.
Just make it happen.
Yeah, let's start now. Like, where are we starting? So, what happened the next day? You decided you wanted to get into that. Like, did you start looking for a warehouse? Did you say, I'm gonna scale it up slowly?
Just take action.
Okay.
Just take action, get in a truck with my dad and start knocking on doors. I had a cell phone generator with a phone number, generic phone number, which is currently our landline, and we just started generating business.
So just get on a van, put some tires. Hey, you want some tires? I'll sell them to you right now, and that's it.
Yep, get in the van and use that inventory. I got some emails, generated email blasts. I had some prior customer emails, and just kind of get a list going and start selling with what I have. Introducing myself, giving them the website, had a generic website at that time. Excuse me. And just ran with it. Just took the risk, dived, and with the support of my siblings and my father and my mom, obviously, we have weekly family meetings about tires and wheels. We are the tire industry family.
Really? Even up to date?
Up to date. We talk about tires, and good and bad problem, I would say. But sometimes it's like, why are we talking about tires now? You know what I mean? But it's in the blood, yeah. So this happened in August of 2012. Fast forward to November, we got good 4 months or 3 months or whatever. We executed on a warehouse. We got a good deal and bought it and said, let's see what happens. Started getting connections from my previous vendors. Started filling up the warehouse slowly, racking it up slowly. Didn't have no staff. Had one van, my cell phone. I had two cell phones. One was the current landline, and one was my original cell phone, which I use today. I had a generic desk, generic computer, just kind of ran it off. I was the clerical, I was the accounts payable, I was the accounts receivable, I was the salesman.
The warehouse guy.
The warehouse guy, unloading trailers, building, racking. And then with the support of my siblings again, and a couple outside helpers that helped support with very low wages, obviously, or sometimes for free, just as a, hey, I'm here to support. We got racking, we started building, we worked on Sundays. We just got it up on its feet. It was a very, very tough moment. A lot of struggles.
I was gonna say, when you were starting that, what do you think was your biggest challenge at that time in your mind?
Struggles and challenge was financially. Not a lot going on as far as income. My competitors, ATD US Auto Force at that time, K&M and Pomps weren't so much as far as in the metro area. So basically the challenges were, how do I compete with these guys? They're bigger than me. They have banks backing them up, private investors, et cetera, et cetera. They're stronger, more brands, more volume, lots of money.
Yeah.
So it was a tough time. It was a tough time. Got nervous, didn't know what to do, and I couldn't pay out. So sometimes it was hard to meet payroll. But we made it happen with the blessings of God, obviously, and the support of my family. It was very, very a tough battle, but then again, I never gave up. I'm a guy that once I start, I don't want to give up. Anything can fail, but I didn't want to set myself into failure. So we met, we talked, family meeting after sibling meeting after what are we going to do next? How are we going to do this? How are we going to survive? And then with the help of the retail stores as well. Remember the retail stores helped build this tire depot because they were selling to the end user. So we were feeding that.
They already had a certain volume you could meet.
Yeah. So if it's a dead part number or a aged inventory, tires getting too old, sitting on the shelf, push it off to the retail stores. They sell used tires, so it wasn't too hard. So I can generate some cash in the meantime on those struggle moments. Just bringing in pallets of wheels and tires and containers here and there slowly, still knocking on doors. In 2014, I hired my first sales rep. He used to work at John's Auto Parts, which is a huge junkyard per se, in selling used parts in Blaine. They sold it to LKQ, which owns Viking at this time. Either way, he did some sales call, generate some business, gain trust with the customer. And then we got the new website going. Just slowly but surely we got where we wanted to be. He left me to go to work for the mortgage business for Wells Fargo. 2016, I hired my second sales rep. Second time hiring a sales rep, but he's still just one. Yep, another. And he just attacked the market. North, south, east, west. His previous job he was in the retail industry. and he kind of helped me just generate business. Then he became my right-hand man. His name is Paul. Thank you, Paul. So yeah, he generated business. His position was a sales manager, outside sales manager, and he pretty much was on the road 24 hours a day.
Right.
And not 24 hours as far as just kind of sarcasm, but he was pounding the roads.
Yeah, so not literal, but in a way he
Yes,
was grinding.
yes,
So he wasn't
just
afraid to
grinding.
work.
Yes, that was we needed that as far as where we were and how we had we had a lot of inventory coming in. We needed to generate the business. Everything was going well. He was doing his thing. Everything was good. Just hiring more staff. Fast forward, there's a lot. I can be here for hours.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 20, let's talk about e-com maybe.
Yeah.
Throughout 2022, tail end of 2022, one of my suppliers, Carl Becker from Arturo Tire, he introduced me to a couple of e-com guys. I'm not going to share the names just because I want to keep that confidential maybe.
Yeah.
But a couple of e-commerce customers reached out, set it up. I knew nothing, zero knowledge about e-com. I didn't know how good of
How it worked, the whole model.
Nothing. Set it up. Remember, whoever wants to do e-com, sell to e-commerce, stay away from it because there's very small margins. But once you're in it, it's unfortunately can't back out. So that's just my advice too. And it takes a lot, a huge struggle. So I got some IT guy, I hired an IT guy. We got all the inventory stuff going on that I don't know much about it. CSV files, etc. I know an Excel file, CSV was just converted version of it.
Yeah.
All this techie language, I was like, you know what? Let me find a guy to kind of look into this. We generated some sales. It was good. February of 23, it got better. I hired one of my buddies that works at Eclipse Wheels. We've known this guy for over 10 years, maybe 15 years. It was a long time, so we consider him as a brother. We've met him at Good Roads back in the day. His name is Jose Marufo. So we've known him for a long time. He was our supplier, a friend, a brother. We used to go and visit him every year in Florida. But the relationship we had with him was above and beyond being a vendor or supplier. He used to work at Good Roads, then went to Eclipse. In the meantime, I was talking to him, hey, what do you think? Would you consider working for Tire Depot as a sixth brother, since we're five brothers and a sister? And he was like, we'll talk. He was comfortable where he was at. He didn't want to relocate, etc. But finally, he made that move in February of 23. We decided to talk about that, and we struck the deal and got him on board. He had good relationships with other customers, so he helped me kind of develop that niche of the business and helped me support. So he was managing some of the e-com department part of the business and generated more business with his relationships, different suppliers, et cetera, to improve our business. And he was working as like it was his.
Okay. So
and it's very rare to find people like that.
No, and it's very rare, one, to have the opportunity, but then also, like what you said, to find the person, because typically they want to do it themselves.
Yes.
But again, the opportunity also has to be set right, because when someone approaches and says, hey, well, we have everything ready. We're willing to, like what you said, man, to treat you as a sixth brother. I mean, it's it seems to me that you guys definitely have a lot of trust, and we could see you, Jose, man, too. So we're not just saying that, but I've gotten to know him as well, and charisma and everything's there. I would say though. So was the goal to bring him for the e-com or for wheels, or what was the primary goal?
The goal when hiring him was to bring him on,
Okay.
just as another asset to the business. Whether it was e-com, whether it was branding wheels, whether it was reaching out to other customers, whatever it was, he said, I tell him, jump, he says, how high? So there was no roadblockage, you hired me for this, I'm ending up doing this. He was always there to support us and the family and wants to improve our business. And that was just more or less what it was at the beginning. And still, he is a manager of Tire Depot, whether it's e-com or managing inventory or placing orders for wheels or talking to customers, I mean, for the, whatever it is, he's there. So that support is definitely there. As we grow the business, obviously we want to hire more staff to fill in a few gaps so we don't overwhelm that part of the business as well, and overwork them, because we don't want to do that. We don't want to burn Jose.
No, for sure. No, and I think that's important. I think now, obviously, e-com is a little less effort when it comes to fulfilling orders. You don't require typically deliveries or delivery drivers or all that stuff. And then wheels, I would say it's a little different than tires. What would you say is your mix right now in terms of, because I see, obviously, as you guys can see, there's a whole bunch of wheels right here. And again, I have a feeling you guys move a lot of wheels, which it's not very easy. At least for me, I haven't encountered a lot of wholesalers who can wholesale wheels and tires equally as good. And it seems to me that you guys have.
It is tough. Our wheel sales are probably 7 to 8%, and then the other 92, 93 is tires. Wheels, I can stock 10,000 wheels, and I can stock 500,000 tires.
Okay.
Just to kind of give you the mix of what I stock. Yes, wheels they're not plug and play. Customers are picky. They want options. You have to have the options for them. A tire, and I think I overheard you at dinner yesterday. Tires is pretty much self-explanatory, good, better, best. How much you want to spend? What's your budget? What year is your vehicle? Is it a newer one or older one? Do you want to put a 195 7014 Michelin or run with an Americas on a Toyota Camry? It's a budget vehicle, which is fine, but I would put a budget tire on that. I wouldn't put a Michelin. So it's kind of self-explanatory. Wheels, your specific, your offsets, your color, your finish, how do you like it? You got to show him 1, 2, 3. Maybe he'll say this one. No, that one might look good. Let me see it on the car. So it's kind of a different type of animal as far as you have to have the options for in stock in order to sell one set. So you would have 6 options, but realistically, you don't need those 6 options. But then again, you don't know. If you don't have them, you won't know if that customer likes them. It's personal preference of what they like.
So in order to reach that good volume in wheels, you have to have those options.
Yes.
So you can't just go and say, I'm just going to buy a container of this design, because I know it might work, but you're saying, hey, you know what, if you have more options, you're more likely to close the sale because the client feels like they have options.
You never know. You might skim over an inventory list from your vendor supplier. That one part number you didn't buy, if you bought it, you would have sold it. You don't know that because you don't know what the consumer is going to want that day. He might want something specific one day. A week later, his friends talk him out of buying something else. Yeah. Or he might have buyer's remorse. Or why did you throw down a deposit on these wheels? You should have got these wheels. Yeah. So it is a different angle to look at it. But then again, if you don't have it, you're not going to sell it. So that's the risk of doing business is you got to stuff yourself with inventory because you don't know what you're going to sell.
Now, for those of I was asking, and again, I've been very transparent. We sell wheels back in the day. Now our like the family warehouse in Vegas sells primarily tires. I disagree though, but again, that is the way he likes it. But how do you think? Why do you think a distributor or a wholesaler or even a shop should invest in wheels? Like if you're saying, hey, what's 8, 7, 10% of my sales, I need to stock a lot more options, which would require more capital. What's the upside with wheels?
Honestly, it's a passion.
Okay.
I think I can get rid of my wheel inventory and sell more tires with it. I'll invest in tires. So I take my capital I'm invested in wheels, change it in tires, I'll turn the tire faster. If you don't have a passion in wheels, forget about it. I like buying wheels. I like buying styles. I like seeing styles on the shelf. I like opening up the box, looking at it. It's exciting.
Okay.
If you don't have that excitement and you're all in it for the money and the investment, don't do it. So you have to have the passion to do it. I was talking to my brother. I was like, and realistically, we can minimize our inventory. We can get rid of it. The wheels don't move as fast. But I have that passion. I like buying wheels. I like selling wheels. Is there more money to be made selling tires, flipping them faster? Yes. The GP in the wheel is probably higher,
Yeah.
but it's slower to sell.
Yeah. So okay.
So you got to take the good with the bad. It's a decision that it's a very tough decision. If you're in it just for the GP and you just want to flip and make money, maybe the tire business isn't for you. But you just have a passion. I have a passion to do it. Sometimes I don't need a 385, 45, 26 Aturo Trailblade MTS. I got 20 in stock. Do I need it? Is it a niche tire? Will I sell 4, 6, 8 a year? Probably. I don't need that. Maybe I shouldn't have invested in that tire, but it's cool to have. It's cool to be that distributor to have. Oh, you got it? Really? 37, 13, 50, 26? ATD doesn't have them. US doesn't have them. You have them? So stuff like that, 40-inch mud tires, got them in stock. So I was the only distributor in the Minnesota that had 28s and 30s in stock. Is there a demand for them? Yes. Would you sell 1 or 2 sets a season? Probably. 28s, 26s are kind of going down, but it's a passion. Could I have not sold those 3 sets, made money on a different angle with tires? Probably. But it's cool to be that guy that has them.
Okay. So
And then that builds a reputation. Sammy, Tire Depot, always has what I need. I call him 26s, he has them. 26 by 14, he has them. 24 by 12s, he has them. So it's, like I said, it's a passion. Do I need to have them in stock? Can the customer wait 3 to 5 days to get them shipped in from the distributor, vendor, manufacturer? Probably. But it's cool to have it right now. 37, 13, 50, 26 with some 24 by 12s. Send them. Package is ready. That same day delivery service builds reputation. Gives you that, hey, Tire Depot has them. They always run a cool open house. I got so many different jaw-dropping comments when they come into the open house, as they don't know, or they've been doing business with us, and if it's their first time coming to the open house, obviously people are committed to families and stuff on weekends, so we do appreciate them taking that time out of their day to come, but when they come, they're very intrigued of what they see.
Okay. And by the way, I mean, all of you guys are invited, right? Like if someone's watching this, can they just swing by or is there a specific?
It is dealers only.
Okay. So if you have a business
Yes.
within the Minnesota area?
Yes, if you have business elsewhere as well, Iowa, Wisconsin, North, South Dakota, you're more than welcome to stop in our St. Paul warehouse and set up an account, or come just look at the warehouse and take a tour. No problem. We don't accept anyone from as far as consumers.
Consumers, right.
It is strictly wholesale, business to business, just so we can respect our customers and not step on any toes. We do not sell any retail out of this locations. My siblings do own and operate the retail locations. Very different business ownership as far as that goes. So if you need anything retail, we can send them or guide them towards any of our current customers that may or may not have them in stock. And to be fair, we do send business to the region as far as when we get phone calls, what region are you in? We would send them to that
To
specific
whatever's
region.
closest to them. So there's no, and again, I guess I can relate to that. So yeah, you try to be as unbiased as possible.
Yes.
Obviously, there's some family that have retail shops, but at the end of the day, man, like most of the distributors, like you start that way. You typically,
Yeah.
that's the right way, technically, to
If
start.
you send business to a non-family member and he's not buying much from you, that non-family member will appreciate that sale and will do business with you.
Yeah, so it seems to me that you have definitely thought through how, and I think that kind of relates to what you were saying yesterday too, man. How you, to me, this is just so you know, guys, we might wrap up the podcast soon because
Yes,
I know
I'm sure people are getting
he's
bored here. and they
no, no,
wanna
no,
see-
no, no, not at all. But the reason I wanted to say that was you, Sammy, think differently in a way that this is my first podcast being recorded in the morning. So it's like, you know, most of the time we record podcasts after the end of the day.
Mhm.
But Sammy's having, you know, his open house today. He was, you know, very nice and really thoughtful to have the podcast when everything, you know, is still going to be, you know, before the
Yep,
chaos pretty
yep,
much.
Yep.
And I know also he likes to be first at things. So you were definitely the first man in that. You were the first also in another vehicle that a two-row tires brought, like a Jeep. Am I right?
Yeah, what was the quote they said? This
Yeah,
is the first time in 8 years?
Yeah, the guy driving in, he's from a Turo, and he was driving in the Jeep, and then he goes like, "This is the first time in 8 years I've been doing this, that I'm driving like the Jeep through like a ramp or something."
Yep.
Like, and
So
so
we did get a flatbed. We called in a flatbed tow truck that raised the vehicle onto my loading dock to bring it into the warehouse for showcase. We do stuff different, and it's okay. We're all humans. Corporate mentality. It's okay to put your guard down and be human. That's kind of like an inside message. We're very family oriented, and we don't work with blinders. We're open minded, and we look at opportunities to grow, and we think outside the box.
Okay. Now, what do you think it's in mind for Tire Depot in the future of your company? I know there's a lot of opportunities out there, man. Like e-com with like selling packages, like installed packages, or opening more warehouses,
Yep.
expanding to other city states. What do you have?
We did get we bought some equipment to mount and balance for our current dealers. So customers want tires and wheels packaged. We mount and balance them, send them, just like Wheel Pros does.
Right.
As far as growth, we probably want to expand in a bigger building. That should help relieve some stress. We currently have tires outside the facility as a rented storage space. So yeah, right now we're trying to maintain what we have and kind of not grow too fast and just kind of take it step by step and maintain what we have, make sure we're not overbuying, taking on too much. There's a saying, bite
Yeah. So,
bite more than you can chew, or I forgot
yeah,
the
don't
saying.
buy more than you could chew, or
Yeah.
something like that, right?
I forgot the exact saying, and it's there, but it's kind of it's
Yeah.
lost in my brain. But yeah, you get the gist of it. As far as I don't want to do that. I don't want to grow too fast. That causes chaos at times and kind of puts you down. If you do it too fast, you start owing vendors too much money, and it just goes crazy.
And this podcast, as you guys know, podcast is going to be released this week, and then next week we're going to be doing a walkthrough, kind of like a demo of the actual facility. I know a lot of the viewers, mainly auto repair shop owners, tire wholesalers, like within the region, people like you and I, man, just people who want to
Yep.
grow or like-minded. And yeah, I really appreciate the time, Sammy.
Sounds good.
I know, man. Again, you took your time, and probably you're gonna still be here early. And I know you're a grinder, but it really means a lot that you took the time, man, to sit down and
It's
share
my
with us
pleasure.
your story.
Thank you.
Yeah, and maybe later again, I do want to do like revisit, like do another podcast,
Sure.
maybe like a year from now, and then maybe we'll bring your brothers too. And
Sure.
I know I didn't bring enough mics.
No
man,
worries.
but-
No worries whatsoever.
Yeah, but again, man, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Fernando.
All right, man. No, well, thank you.